mcube welcomes you all to our second episode in Pain series, CAIM.
अभी हमने
To
वीडियो ऑफ
have
किया
a positive attitude in a negative situation, a perspective which we at mcube, we all really strongly believe in. mcube stands for money, motivation, and mentoring. It's a consortium of women entrepreneurs who bring over a collective experience of over 100 years from different walks of life. I am Shalini Vikrant, your anchor for today's conversation, and it's my pleasure to invite you all, to welcome you all. You can't hear? Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
There's one participant who's saying can't hear.
Maybe you can read.
Hello.
Yeah, you are audible, Shalini.
All right. So I welcome our first speaker, our guest speaker, Ms. Pranjali Malhotra. She is a social worker, a counselor with over 30 years of experience in the development sector. She has worked on youth and women empowerment and mental health issues. She's an expert on psychosocial issues. She's the country head HR at Nimbus Hyundai. Welcome, Pranjali. We would love to see you. Hey, Pranjali.
I
Hi.
just taking a moment. It's just
No
taking a
worries.
moment. Yeah.
No worries. I guess
Okay.
we all have to deal with the technical issues.
The network is
So
slow.
we'll go to. I'll introduce our second speaker in the meanwhile, Ms. Rinku Tyagi. She's a co-founder Pink Guava Consulting Services. She's a strategy consultant, a career coach. She's a customer experience management expert, a certified life coach, and also an NLP practitioner. Welcome, Rinku. So good to have you.
Hey everyone. Hi. Thank you, Shalini.
We are looking forward to know your perspective on Mindshift, and you're here to share experiences. We're so excited. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Pleasure is all mine.
And Pranjali is also here now.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hi.
Pranjali.
Good evening. Good
evening.
evening, everybody. Thanks for having me here.
Good to have you. We are looking forward to a
Thank you.
wonderful
Same here.
conversation.
Same here. Same here.
And I would like to introduce now our third panelist, Ms. Akansha Tyagi. She's a founder, EduMind Solutions. She's a founder of Global Womenpreneur Clique, and also she's a founder of Tailopedia. She's a personal excellence coach, NLP practitioner, career mentor, mind trainer, poet, and a blogger. Welcome, Akansha.
Thank you, Shalini. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Yeah, good evening. My gosh, now I have to read it out because you ladies are really talented. I can't remember all your skills, talents. Thank you so much. And here I introduce my fourth panelist, Miss Ela Pachori. She's a founder of My Little Greens, co-founder Fusion Hut by Reena and Ela. She's a real estate consultant and a content creator. Welcome, Ela. Is Ela around? She was here. I think there's some technical issue.
Shalini, she's there. She's there.
She's there. All right.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll say hi to her in person within a bit. So what I'm today, I perhaps was not the same even last night. Do you agree? Maybe a food for thought. You may ponder. You may agree, disagree with me. You may say yes or no. Our mind is continuously thinking. If the mind is flowing like a river with a quiet sense of confidence and with clarity, it has the power to put us on a path of success, of growth, of abundance, of glory. But there are times when we get stuck in a mindset, when we get stuck in our thoughts. We believe that what we are thinking is right. We are not ready to accept change. We start to ruminate. And what happens? We start to stagnate, we become stale. Just like a puddle of dirty, still water, if you've noticed. When a water is absolutely still, there is no movement. And what happens? That water attracts and breeds insects, mosquitoes, disease. It's harmful. And what do we do with that water? We have to get rid of it, right? That's exactly what we have to do when we get caught in our mindset. We have to consciously make a shift, a mindset shift. And what is a mind shift? Mind shift is a conscious effort to change our focus and our perception. Our willingness to do this is the first step to attract growth, success, abundance, whatever we want in our lives. So, my first question is actually, is it possible for all of us to do it? Can we do it? Can you do it? Can everyone do it? And if we can, how to do it? What is the route? Should we look at it in a more creative way, what I may call art, or should we take a scientific route? And this brings to my first question of this series, and I want to address it to our dear Pranjali. Pranjali, would you look at mind shift through the lens of art, or would you look at it from a science logical perspective? Pranjali, you're not audible. Yes,
Yes.
Pranjali.
Hi. Shani, you very rightly said that we need to break our obstacles and we need to be in touch with our hidden potentials to push the self-created bars higher. We create restrictions and limitations around us, which need to be pushed. We need to be pushed to create a sense of winning, a sense of positive winning that we can make a shift. Shift is always challenging. And this can happen once we do away with the ties that bind us to the past, and we release the bitterness, the regret, the guilt, the unhealthy patterns, and the stuck feeling. We always feel stuck when we feel stuck in a situation and feel stuck in a rut and feel that we cannot come out of it, and we need to take an action to do this. So action for me, it is very important for a therapist or a practitioner or a healer to understand that each one has a different pace. Each individual has a different pace, and we need to respect that pace and space of each individual in order to come up with with any kind of theory. I'm so sorry with all this noise. I'm sorry, it's a little unprofessional to move, but there's too much noise. Okay, so yeah.
This is a heartfelt conversation. So that's perfectly fine. We are all friends.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like I was saying, we all individuals have their own pace and their space, and we, as practitioners or even as people, we're trying to address this in a social forum, that we need to respect that space and pace of each individual. And science and art is an interesting concept that you have brought. Shift from any existing pattern for me would require an action. And if you look at the core science, then every action awards an equal and opposite reaction. So when there is an action, there is going to be a reaction. And that for me, and the the higher the pain, the higher the anguish, the greater would be the resolve, the greater would be the need and the inner resilience to take that action. So for me, that is the pure science. That is how we look at science and
is
mind.
it correct, Pranjali, if I say that the mind pulls us into this drama?
Yes.
You know, as you rightly said,
Absolutely.
that, to take that action is so difficult. That is what is really challenging. And how to come out of that drama. So would you, sometimes we feel that we are literally drowning in it. And it's so difficult to keep afloat.
Right.
So would you, what do you suggest we should do if we are, actually going to come out of it?
Yes, very rightly, yes, the drama, the mind plays a drama and we get sucked into it. Like I said, that we feel the rut, we are stuck and we feel that we are stuck in that rut. And, when you go to a therapist or when as a medical practitioner, communication plays a very big role in this. To come out of that, that feeling of worthlessness or self-doubt, communication plays a big role. Whether it is the therapist or whether it is the individual, for everybody, a positive sense of communication. We need to communicate in such a manner. Now, art for me is the art of communicating here. And if we look at it, the best form of communication can be art. So, with art, it could, yes. And I feel art is diverse. It could be dancing, it could be music, it could even be just the act of reinventing ourselves, whether we write or whether we just speak something nice or just have few words. That is art to me. We all have a blank canvas, especially when we are down in, we are in a need of a mind shift. Then we are all in a blank.
Pranjali, you're breaking, please.
Is the voice breaking again?
Yeah, it's breaking.
Is it better?
Yeah, now it's better.
Hi. Okay. So what I was saying was that we. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Is it better now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, like I was saying that, our life is a blank canvas and we need to bring in the colors and, we all want to create a masterpiece. And the kind of colors we choose to create that masterpiece, it comes from within. We all need self-appreciation. And so very interestingly, we did a study with a lot of, with 1,000 women and middle-aged women. And a main bane to their well-being was regret.
Yeah.
The sense of regret.
Actually, not surprising.
Yes, certainly. And because we all know that aspirations and regrets go hand in hand. When we aspire for something and dream of something and are not able to meet those dreams and aspirations, then there is a feeling of regret that, somewhere deep down, I didn't do enough to meet those aspirations, self-created aspirations or dreams which I had to fulfill those dreams. So that's when the regret sets in. So I don't know if you would like to open it to the viewers and listeners, if anybody would like to share any form of regret they've faced.
Yes, absolutely. It'll be wonderful. In fact, yes, we invite all of you, encourage if anybody wants to share any regret, what you have faced, which probably you went through, any guilt which you went through, and you would like to come out of it, or maybe if you want to share how you came out of it, we would love to hear that too, because primarily we want to see how we can reverse the situation, how we can reverse our negative into positive. So would anybody like to share their regret? Or if not if you feel that their dear ones have gone through that, why not? Because we are here to help them. Yes, Mr. Pachori.
Yeah, I'm Rakesh Pachori.
Yeah, Mr. Pachori, welcome. It's so good to have you.
Me and my wife will both have a lot of such experiences. And she's a great orator, so she can share it better than what I can say. But let me tell you, guys, in our last 30 years of marriage, almost now it's going to be 30, there have been situations where she had pulled our entire family out of this situation. We are totally broken, not only financially as well as emotionally, because I had a major brain hemorrhage in 2003, and subsequently after that, when I had recovered, there were some job issues in between. I was working with Coca-Cola, and then I again had a brain stroke in 2015. So she is the one who has pulled me out of all this negative situation. And I'll say she is the only one in my life who has been supporting me and motivating me.
She was the anchor. And the great thing is that you were willing to do it, because if you were not willing, she probably wouldn't have been able to actually, sail through. So you were, both of you pulled it out, sailed through it together.
Ella, why don't you contribute something?
I am waiting for my turn. There are many others before me. Yeah.
So anybody for regrets?
So regrets.
Very nice.
So maybe Pranjali, if I can share something.
Yes,
When we are working as working ladies, we feel that we haven't been able to give a lot of time to our children when they were growing up, and we feel that that regret if something happens, untoward happens. So we are always in that guilt. So would you like to share something on this?
So hopefully I'm audible enough now.
Yes, you are.
So we women traditionally were not meant to have dual roles. We were generations
Your
before.
voice is cracking. Voice is not clear.
That's the best I can do. I'm so sorry about it. So, like I said, traditionally women were not supposed to have dual roles. And when the dual roles happened, we were not trained to take responsibility of those dual roles. So the factor of guilt or regret would always be there, because the societal perception towards a woman's role primarily is of a homemaker and a mother.
So how do we make a shift if we are in that guilt?
Exactly. So self-appreciation, we are very harsh to our own selves when it comes to evaluating ourselves through the lens of the society, the perceptions of the society. We are very harsh towards our own self. So the first mind shift or shift of mind or thought which we need to do is to be less harsh to ourselves and be appreciative of our own self. And if we appreciate whatever little or whatever big we can do for our children or for the family, because we are contributing in another form. We are bringing in a lot of stimulus from outside when we are working. We are engaging our children in a thought process which women who stay at home may not be able to do it. And of course, we're bringing in the financial contribution to the household, which in today's time is extremely important. More so, we are not treading, we're not treading the path which is somewhere considered not very progressive in today's times. Our education, you guys are much younger, but I think my generation was the first private school. We were the public school educated women. So for us to bring in that thing of education and not being gender biased by our parents and given us the freedom, we asserted that thing. So we need to be proud of ourselves and be able to take the dual role in our stride.
That's wonderful. So we should be proud of ourselves, and we should practice self-compassion.
Absolutely. Yes. Self-appreciation is extremely important.
Self-appreciation, self-compassion. Yes, Ekta, you want to say something?
Yes. So I think, when regret sets in, I personally feel that is the time where your decision making becomes weak. So for me, if I talk for myself personally, like Mr. Pachori, our family has also had an experience where my father had brain hemorrhage, and while he had that stroke, both me and my brother were in different cities. In fact, he was in a different country, And after a few months, a decision had to be made that someone had to move back home
Yeah.
to be with my mother, and to be there with the family. And I was doing exceptionally well in my career at that point of time. So every time I thought that, what decision should I take? Should I come back home or should I continue there? Because my career is there. And every time that, that thought would pass and regret would pass. But then, you have friends who support you. And, as Pranjali said, that communication is very important. So did you. So when we, communicated with family and friends, it came out very loud that there shouldn't be any regret. But you have to prioritize what is important. And I think when I look back, now I have no regret that I moved, because I was able to do what I want to for both my family as well as my profession. So I think that's where the mindset, actually changes when you chuck the regret out of your life or your mind. That's what I
Yeah,
wanted to say.
I
absolutely.
agree with
You're
you.
absolutely
I fully agree with you. Reason being because how may positive you may be, but unless and until the one you want to convey the positivity, if he or she is not ready to accept it,
yes,
they won't recover.
yes,
In
Absolutely.
my case, also, when I had a stroke, next day morning when I woke up, I could not see anything. It was absolutely blank. So I told Lila, Maneka, what's this? Maneka, I can't see you also. It was just white light which I could see. And then we went through various, it took me almost 3 months to recover to at least see something. So
yeah.
we have gone through various
Yeah, but
phases in life.
I really admire your
But,
resilience. And
and yeah, she has been like, many times I used to feel, Monica, why is all this happening to me? But she was always go, no, it will be back to the track. So don't worry. And at the end of the day, I think it's the positivity which you pump in your partner or whomsoever you want to recover. So that's where positivity works a lot. Even I had lost my voice speech in my when I had this brain hemorrhage. I was unable to speak.
yeah.
So she was the one who pushed me to the office.
Wow, this is
So
wonderful. Actually, we are, you're so inspiring. Thank you for sharing. And you're right that, the first step is that we should be willing to change. The acceptance is the first step. You rightly said, Mr. Pachori. In fact, and Rinku also would like to share some life experience.
yeah,
We we have seen that mind shift is possible. We've seen, I mean, Mr.
absolutely.
Pachori's case. We've heard Ekta. We've heard Pranjali, and we've read in theory, we've read in books. And so sometimes, and this self doubt, when it actually empowers us, we feel uh, totally lost. We feel nothing is possible. We feel that we've come to a dead end. So I would like to ask Rinku that did she face any such situation in her life, and what was the underlying emotion and the feeling, that extreme emotion which she felt, which was letting her, which actually suffocated you, Rinku.
Sure, Shalini. So before I share my story, I do want to confess this is very personal to me. And I haven't spoken about this in an open platform. So I hope, and the only reason I'm talking about the story comes from my professional experience. And the reason I'm sharing it is because I know today's time, a lot of people who are in a job and a lot of people also in business, they are facing this risk and this insecurity of losing a job. And I can imagine how deep and how dark it can get for them if they have lost the job already or if they fear the risk of losing one. So I thought it will be very relevant to bring this up here. So the situation or the story goes back to 2015 when I quit my job, and I remember the date. It was 30th March 2015. There was 3 months of notice period that I gave. So those 3 months I did not realize too much because I had taken an impulsive decision. I just quit. um, the quitting was voluntary, but it was still a forced one. It was a very impulsive decision because of certain circumstances. So, not something that I really wanted to do at that point in time. So, once I did that, and then 3 months of notice period just went by, and I was already searching for jobs, that did not hit me as much as the day I know I received my last pay, which was my settlement amount. And I felt there was nothing in my hand. I didn't have a job, and I didn't have anything to look at, from work perspective. And that's when it hit me. And I remember very clearly that that was a really, really dark day for me, because I'm an emotional person. I get very, very touched by things, but um, I could not accept myself being in that situation where I was not going out and doing something with my time. And being at home was not something I was used to, because I had worked already for 21 years continuously, and it was a very taxing job, very demanding job. So my life was all about my work, and that's something. And for a lot of people, it may not relate, and people may wonder, what? So what? Everybody loses a job. But for me, as a person, it hit me bad. And like you said, the drama, the emotional drama, I think we were talking about it in the mind, that the game that it plays. Um, I felt I was like a prisoner to my emotions and thoughts and the feelings. And I'm a very free, I am kind of a free spirited person. I like to be free and I like to do my own things. And when I was trapped, and I felt like as if I was trapped and caged in my own feelings and thoughts, which was mostly, and all of it was all negative. So I think one of you said the mind plays drama, and I say mind is very evil. It just pulls you down. And I was at a point, and I think Shalini, you said we drown. Actually, I was floating. I didn't have a ground to touch on. I didn't have water to swim to, but I was still finding myself floating in my emotions all the time. So completely clueless, completely lost. Lot of feeling where I felt I'm defeated. I could have done something differently. You go in a mode where you want to, you question everything. You talk about the reasoning. There's self-doubt, like you said. There's a lot of self-doubt that I felt, but most importantly, being at home with two kids, it was a lot of emotional outbursts for
So
me.
how
And
did you come out, make that transition? Because I can see that it was such a difficult phase for you. You were helpless totally and despondent.
yeah,
So how did you actually make that shift? Did you find someone? Who was your anchor? What was the guiding force?
yeah.
Because it can be a different thing for different people. So we would actually want to. And thank you very much. I know it's a personal
So at that
story.
moment, it was not very process, or I was not thinking of it so
Hmm.
structured, in such a structured way. But now when I look back and I articulate it for everyone, I definitely think there was a method to it. So the good thing was that I was writing a lot. So like I said, 3 months of notice period, it just went by. I tried finding for a job. It was another setback that I wasn't fit for the industry. There were not many opportunities for me. So the job was not an option, it seemed. So there was further dejection in myself. And when it came, I started writing. I have a habit of writing journal when I have a lot of feelings to pull out. And although I had my family, my friends, my kids, my husband, my couple of my friends who were there around me, but still there were a lot of it that I could not share. You can't be a crybaby with everyone every time. So I just took a solace in my diary and I started writing that journal. And I remember 2 to 3 weeks of that writing, I realized it was a point in time when I said, um, it was very repetitive. I was only saying the same thing. I was crying about the same emotions. If feelings were repetitive, it was coming, same things were coming back and back. And I did not like something about it. And I said, like somebody said, we feel stuck. So that was the point in time, 2 to 3 weeks down the line, where I said, I think I'm stuck in those emotions because I can't think over and above this. I'm just repeating myself. And that was all very negative and very self sabotaging. And that's when I think the initial thought of me, or the intention, came in. And then I remember very clearly that the moment when I was feeling stuck, I said, what is the option for me? And I said, there were two ways to go. Either I give up or I move forward. And this was all talking to myself. And I remember drawing a table. I kept one side give up and the other side I wrote move forward. And I just said, why should I give up? And why should I move forward? And Charlie, like you said, the guiding force, when you are in that dark space, and I was definitely in my dark space, you need that guiding light. So giving up did not return me a very confident answer. And when I said moving forward, my guiding light was my two girls. And in all our conversations, they'd always looked up to me as mama, who's very outgoing, independent, modern parent. And I thought, some way I'm probably, if I'm not moving forward with this and I'm giving up, I'm failing them. and failing their expectation and standing wrong. I think that was the positive intention that helped me. So, when you're in your negative situation, that intent, that positive intention, that guiding light is very important. And these are the two things which started the shift process. But the entire process then was, I did a couple of things. So when I said that it was starting point, that's when I started doing, I did two big steps I took. One was I gave myself intentional, deliberate 3 weeks, 3 months of leave. I took a holiday where I said I'm going to, and I had to snap. There was no other way but to cut out my all connections with all that had happened in last 4 5 months. So I did that first step. I went on my spiritual path. I followed a meditative course, like we're talking about art. I took a lot of respite. One of my friends was a part of Sangha, which was doing mindfulness meditation. It helped a lot. I got introduced to Isha in an engineering program. I went to ashram on my own once in my lifetime. I'd never done that before. And that gave me a lot of perspective. It gave me a break from where I was. So the change of space happened. So that change of space happened for me. And that I think 2 3 months gave me a lot of perspective. The other thing, and I think it correlates to the science part of discussion that we are doing, I realized that I still needed to do professionally something to keep me energized. And that's when I looked for a coach. And luckily I had my sister, my elder sister, who was a certified coach. And she coached me for 3 months. And that helped me get a lot of clarity in terms of what I wanted to do, where I wanted to go, and why I wanted to go. I think that was very important. So that was the entire gamut of solutioning, I think, and it took about 6 months, 3 to 6 months for me to come out of that phase. And
but it's amazing that you transitioned, you made this transition, and you yourself are a coach now.
Yes.
That is wonderful.
Yes.
And but are you a changed person, or because yes, as you rightly said, that you were missing that your personality, your character going out, being in charge, being in control. You didn't want yourself to be seen as somebody distraught, somebody helpless. So this transition, did it change you? Have you evolved as a person? Are you
Most
happier?
Definitely.
Are you at so
Dekho, I think being happy is another measure,
yes,
I think,
course.
altogether.
Yeah, it is.
But am I at peace? Yes, I am definitely at peace with myself. There was a huge transition that this event made in my life. And I can tell you, we sometimes undermine things happening in our life. We cry about it a lot, but we don't want to receive them as they are. But just because I chose to move forward and take corrective measures, I realized when I look back that when I was in my deep pit, all I was doing was I was externalizing it. I was blaming others, not just blaming others for what was happening to me, the situation, the people. I was also looking at others to help me or rescue me. So a friend would say, "Chaliye coffee peete hain," so I'll go out for a coffee. My kids would say, "Mama, let's go for a movie." I'll go for a movie. But it was not coming from within. So the transition that happened for me was primarily focused from thinking externally and so I was all externalizing person, and then I rather moved it inwards, and I said, I think the shift was that I have to stand up first. You have to have that intention built in within you, so you have to stand and fight that battle for yourself. So there will be always, and I was very lucky to have my husband, my kids, and my friends around, my sister, but then I had to fight it, and I had to have that intention to change. And I think that came along with. So I definitely think I'm at peace, and that's a lesson that I cannot forget ever.
so
that's
looking back, you think that was the best thing you could have done?
Oh yes, yes. I mean,
no doubt, no doubt.
Yeah, and I'm really so that acceptance and acknowledgement. I think Mr. Pachauri was talking about it. It is so important. You have to. The day I felt that I'm stuck, that was my point in time when I accepted and acknowledged that this is the least you can. This is the lowest.
Actually, this reminds me of the golden rule of career catastrophe, which is we think that this is it's never as bad as we think it is while we are at it. There's always a silver lining, and this is what we probably saw here in your life experience. And
just one thing I wanted to add, Shalini, here, and I want to specify because a lot of us do it. I think Pranjali talked about this regret and the research. I think I'm an absolute case study for that research, because I went through regret because, this is all self-created drama in our mind. I always, my entire identity was about this being this working woman and getting that paycheck. So I had completely, my whole existence was around this job and this working woman I was. And I think that was a big change. That is a big change that I see today, that I'm no more about that particular job. There's so many other aspects to a person.
Yeah.
And I think that's something which, so that's why I relate to that research that I think Pranjali did.
Yeah. So I think,
Fact,
so
may
sometimes,
I add something here? So Rinku, you're not alone, I have
Yeah.
facts and figures, just half a minute I'll take about that. So this study in 2018, it's very recent. So, the regret and disappointment which was arising in 49% of the women we spoke to, out of 1,000 women, that's a big size, 490 women, they voiced regret arising from incomplete education or not sufficient education to get a career in. And, out of them, 27, like out of the 450, 27% had a career option disappointment. They felt that the careers that they had chosen or not chosen, that was the cause of their regret. So you're not alone, financial instability contributed to another 12 people. So I don't know if that makes it any better or it makes it worse, that there are so many of us women who feel that that sense of regret for not being
but we have the strength to actually move on. That's the strength we have, and we are very proud of it.
Absolutely.
And sometimes,
that is what
sometimes what we perceive as the worst in us, it actually turns around and comes as a blessing.
And gives us that power.
Gives us that power, that strength. So Rinku, she delved within, and she also took external help. And there are, and of course, we have learned another lesson we learned from her experience was we shouldn't shy away from asking help. But sometimes I feel sometimes it's difficult to take an external help. Coaches are not easily accessible. So another question comes to my mind, that is possible for us to look at the silver lining, to look at a positive aspect, to work on ourselves, ourselves. Can we do it ourselves? Do we really? If I cannot go to a coach, how is it that I can guide my own self? So I would ask this to our dear Kansha, how do we come out of this drama? Can we, without the help of an external coach, do we have the ability and capability of redesigning, refocusing, and detoxing our mind?
Amazing question, Shalini. Thank you so much. Thank you, Pranjali, for enlightening us on the topic. And I very much agree with Pranjali over here that the mind shift is completely, and in fact, it's a pure science, but you may take help of art to combat that. Any negativity, you can take help of art, whether it's painting or dance or something else. When I talk about doing it on your own without the help of a coach or therapist, what does a therapist do? Can anybody answer that? What does a therapist do or a coach does? What they do?
Talk to you.
I'm sorry?
They talk to you.
They talk to you. They communicate. So, and any ideas? Kya communication process hoga? What kind of questions they ask you?
It helps you. So Rinku says it helps you focus on the issue rather than the feeling.
It helps you focus on the issue. So the point number one over here is that you need to communicate with yourself. You need to acknowledge, you need to label that emotion, that negative thought that's coming into your mind. In majority of the cases, the irony is that people are not able to understand that emotion that they are going through, that circumstance they are going through. They think, mere saath hi aisa kyun hota hai? हमेशा वही mindset चला आ रहा है, and they don't try to take it as a wrong thing. जैसे कि हमें fever होता है, we take a medicine. हमारे लिए physical wellness ज़्यादा important है बजाय mental wellness के. जब हम उसको priority दे देते हैं, mental wellness is as much as important as physical health.
Agreed.
When you also think about your mental health, because as I always say, your physiology impacts your neurology impacts your physiology. What does you think, you become that, and what you do, it's always there in your mind. Let not the mind become you. So when you acknowledge the very fact that you are going through a particular situation, a particular negative situation, pain, you're going through pain, then you need to stop there. You need to focus on that. You need to acknowledge, try to identify the problem over there. Probably you can jot down that problem in one of your diaries. Now you think, we always have this mind map. In NLP, we have a lot of techniques where the therapist, the coach helps you to attain that solution, wherein you talk to yourself and you come out of with the solutions to the problem, and the solution is there within you. No therapist, no coach can tell you without talking to you, without knowing it from you. So the solution is coming out from you only. So now, yes, so now it's like, it's not somewhere external, it's here, it's internal. We tend to seek happiness outside, so we need to look here. Once I acknowledge that emotion of mine or the problem that I want to resolve, I can work on it. Now comes the communication part. We communicate to others, we communicate to a coach. I have this problem. We communicate to a therapist. I have this problem. Let me communicate with me. We divide mind into three parts actually. Conscious is that I'm able to see you. Right now, you can see me talking, that is conscious mind. But when I ask you to close your eyes, I ask you, just don't think about your mom. Just don't think about your mom. Can we do that activity? Close your eyes and please, I request you, humble request, don't you dare to think about your mom. और मॉम हंसनी तो बिल्कुल भी नहीं चाहिए, स्माइल तो होनी नहीं चाहिए मॉम के फेस पे अगर देख भी रहे हो तो. All right. So how many of you were not able to see your mom when you closed your eyes?
I think we all were thinking of her only.
This is your subconscious mind. This is not your conscious mind, because right now your mom is not sitting in front of you.
So whatever we resist, actually we move that side. It attracts us.
That is another factor, Shalini, over here. So what I'm trying to tell over here is the difference between conscious and subconscious mind. Consciousness, it leads to the data and facts. It is more concerned about that. Subconscious is that you part, that communication with you, communication with self. कई बार आपने देखा होगा जो भी आपका पैशन होता है, जब आप कंप्लीटली उसमें डूबे हुए होते हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल रिंकू सेड शी लव्स राइटिंग एंड राइटिंग वाज दैट pavement for her to come out of that scenario. If she writes, she's completely into that. उसके दिमाग में कुछ और चीज नहीं चल रही है उस टाइम में. That very moment when you don't have any other thought in your mind, that is where the subconscious mind is working at that point of time. It works. But the moments are very rare.
So when you talk about mind, you mentioned mind mapping, because I am not aware of it. I haven't done this. So is there any way, because most of us will not know what mind mapping is, or something related to what you're saying, is it will it be possible for you to demonstrate? Is it possible? I'm not sure if it is. I'm sure it might be an elaborate process, because but maybe in a shorter way, if somebody can volunteer. Is it possible, Akansha?
Actually, when we help somebody to make a mind map, it takes a lot of time, but I can give you a brief about how you can do that yourself. So you can centralize that problem of yours. Say, somebody.
Shall we request someone to volunteer? Is it okay, Akansha? Maybe if we see an example, it'll be easier for us to understand.
Right.
Ekta, would you like to volunteer for this quick activity?
Sure.
Yeah, all right. So maybe in a half a minute or minute we can just, Akansha, would you please be kind enough
Yes, yes.
to help us understand?
All right. So, Ekta, if she can let me know what is the thing, or she can help me to identify that problem that she want to get rid of.
Okay. So the problem doesn't really pertain to me, but that has been bothering me. So there is this child that I know of.
Okay.
The child should be around 3.5, 4 years old,
Mhm.
and child doesn't pay attention in the class.
All right.
Okay, and as much as the teacher tries to bring him or her back to the class, the child is more interested in playing, and the mother is constantly saying that ये नहीं पढ़ता है, इसको कुछ समझ में नहीं आता है. She doesn't want to buy books for him or her, and so she has a very closed mind towards that, and I'm unable to help her as a co-parent, along with her, that how we could guide her that look, it is not the child where the problem lies,
Mhm.
but it is your negative communication to the child that the child is defying everything that you are trying to tell him, because we see that the child has the potential.
Right, absolutely. So this is a little different case because it relates to a child. So over here in NLP we use two terms, content and context. एक छोटे में बहुत प्यारी स्टोरी सुनी थी, अगली डकलिंग, इफ यू रिमेम्बर. In a group of yellow chickens there was a ugly duckling, and सब कोई इसको irritate करता था और चिढ़ाते थे कि तुम तो बिल्कुल अलग हो, एक दूसरे से अलग हो. But until the one day the duckling realized that वो duck है ही नहीं. He's supposed to fly in the sky, high in the sky. Over there, the context changed completely. Now, reframing here. The situation changed. Now it is reframing. It's more like the kid says, "मेरी मम्मी पूरा time मेरे ऊपर watch रखती हैं. She continuously runs after me." But if I try to reframe the situation, there are few kids where they don't have mothers, or they don't get that much of attention. So you are lucky enough that your mom is watching on you. This is a classic example of reframing. What I need to say over here is, now when I talk about that 3 to 4 year old kid and her mother, so a child practice what he sees at home. What he sees is happening in front of his eyes. So maybe when a mother, a parent, they don't communicate with the kid, they're not able to understand what he is going through, or what kind of mind he has, or how he's supposed to get that inclination towards studies or a particular thing that he is supposed to do. Over here, the first thing that needs to be considered over here is that the mother, to understand the child, she needs to observe the activities the child does. Because as you said, that we can easily see the potential. We're able to see the potential that the child has. But the mother says, he's not going to do anything. Even if I buy books for him, he's not going to do anything. The mother says this. So this shows, because we need to communicate to the mother now, in this case. So when she will tell her context, then only we'll be able to do that mind mapping. Mapping is basically the problem and the bifurcations of the problem. So you ask question, what is the problem? This is the problem. How, why, when this problem arises, when you notice this problem, this is how we keep on bifurcating every point. So the 5 Ys and 1 H. I always say the 5 Ys and 1 husband, actually, to remind all the participants over here. So this is in mind map.
Yeah, but that's an interesting point of view, Kansha. That yes, we need to understand, we need to communicate, and also what you also mentioned, that we have to work on ourselves. We have to work on myself. That is very important. Acknowledging and working on myself. We have a question here that I would want to understand from the panelists on how much does mindset supports the mind shift. What is the right mindset for a mind shift. So probably would
Should I take
does
it?
Pranjali
Should I
wants
take?
to
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes,
sure.
Pranjali, yeah.
Yeah, sure. So, when we talk about mindset, we talk about stereotypes. We talk about a particular kind of learned behavior that we have all acquired over the years, over our growing up years, over the years, what we've seen in our environment, the nature and the nurture both play together in this. So the shift, the greater the need to shift, the greater would be the desire to shift. And the greater the desire is there to shift, their resilience would be there. You will form an action, you will go ahead with the mind. So whenever there is a question, already we've talked about very rightly, all the learned people here have talked about the acceptance and the acknowledgement. So here, like if we look at it, I would say 3 A's. The acceptance is there, and then the access to make the mind shift. Do we have the tools to be able to make that mind shift? Are we equipped enough inside us? Do we have that kind of an approach? So the other, after acceptance and acknowledgement, the other A is the approach. What kind of an approach you will adopt to, and the other A which I would focus on is the attitude. Do we have that attitude towards taking that plunge? Are we open to the risk taking? Because whenever we talk about the word shift, somewhere we are apprehensive about making that shift. We become so comfortable
Absolutely,
in
yeah,
that. We become so
yeah,
comfortable in that state of ours that taking that plunge and taking that shift
yeah.
always requires the risk. But go
Wonderfully
for
said,
it,
actually. Yes.
go for it, go for
Three
it.
A's.
I would say go for it.
Good. Three A's. Three A's. So one is acceptance, access, and attitude. So when we are first, we need to accept. If we know the tools, how to access them, the tools can be either art, the creativity to delve within, or we can take an external help, and of course the attitude. So I feel to be able to get see a positive in a negative situation is a skill and it is a blessing. So sometimes, especially when life puts us into an extreme situation where we feel that we have come to a dead end. And especially when, we are having that experience in our personal life. We saw Rinku's, what she went through professionally. And we have a panelist here who went through turmoil in her personal life, and how life, she was caught unawares, so many things happened to her. So Ela, I would like to ask you, and thank you for joining us, for for sharing your heart out, pouring your heart out, sharing. Have you experienced a situation like this? And what was the extreme emotions you went through? Feeling, what was the feeling? How did you feel?
See, Rakesh has already mentioned like he lost his job twice, like being a workaholic who was used to working for more than 18 hours in a day. He was sitting at home doing nothing, and there have been two long stretches. One was for 3 months, and one was for more than a year. And then having had two major illnesses, once a brain hemorrhage, and where he lost his speech, and then a brain stroke where he could not see anything. So when these things were happening, now I can comfortably talk about it. But while those things were happening to me, the first reaction was utter disbelief. It shouldn't be happening to us.
Yeah.
Then why is it happening to me? But
Hmm.
probably I have been a spiritual person. I have been meditating most of my life. So the acceptance was there that yes, it has happened, and now we have to take the bull by the horns. And that was it. And then when
So
Rakesh was out of
how did you make that shift? Was it, did you seek any help, or who was the driving force? Who was the anchor?
uh, the victims
We
were
did.
my anchors. My daughter and my husband, they were
Hmm.
the anchor. My like I have this sheer grit to protect them at any cost. There has always been a regret within me. I still live with that regret that I am not a breadwinner for the family. I have not earned enough. I've been dabbling in many things, but there has never been a source of continuous
Earning.
inflow of money in my
Hmm.
account, like due to my efforts or like work. But Rakesh always told me that you have a greater purpose in life, and I suppose that since I was not working, I was able to help both of them, both my daughter and my husband, when they needed me most. एंड सिर्फ उन लोग के लिए जो मेरा प्यार था और प्रोटेक्टिवनेस थी वो ही चीज थी जो मुझे बता रही थी, आगे गाइड कर रही थी कि हमें पीछे नहीं देखना है, अभी हमें आज में देखना है, आगे का भी नहीं सोचना. आई वॉज नॉट इवन थिंकिंग दैट वेदर आई विल बी हैविंग इनफ आटा इन माई डिब्बा इन द किचन. Because when Rakesh got a new job and within a month of getting his new job, he had this massive brain hemorrhage. हमारे पास पहली सैलरी भी नहीं आई थी, पिछले वाले अकाउंट में जो भी थोड़ा बहुत पैसा था मुझे नहीं पता था, एंड राकेश couldn't sign also the checks. And but still we floated through just because I was very confident, very positive, and I had a receptive partner.
That is very important
And
because
when I was pumping in the positivity, इनके जगह में शायद कोई और होता. मेरे और भी फ्रेंड्स के साथ में जॉब वाले इश्यूज हुए हैं, वहां पे इतने झगड़े, इतना मिसट्रस्ट, नियरली डिवोर्स का स्टेट आ गया कि नहीं अब मैं इस आदमी के साथ नहीं रहूंगी. मैंने इतना कोशिश किया इसको हेल्प करने का, बट वो उस ट्रैप में फंसते ही चले जाते हैं. हमने उस ट्रैप में फंसने का से निकल, मतलब जैसे कहते हैं ना, प्लान बनाया या वो होता चला गया. We were strong enough, and I thank the Almighty for all the positivity. I have got a very positive gene pool actually.
that is amazing. In fact, somebody is complimented you. Meenakshi is complimenting you. Ela, you are tenacious and have tremendous inner strength. Thank you, Meenakshi.
Minnie is a very dear friend. She's
Yes.
a lovely friend, and
Yeah.
I'd like to have her on our panel one of these days.
It shall be my pleasure, Ela. But really proud of your journey, and it's such a pleasure listening to you talk about that. I think it's very inspiring. You're very inspiring, Ela.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you, Meenakshi. And thank you so much for sharing your views. Ela, are you a changed person now? I asked this question to Rinku too. Of course, I can see that you're happier. Is there something? Do you think that you would have done something different in that situation, or this is the best you could do, and you are more at peace? Are you, as you said that you always had that regret that you couldn't be the breadwinner, but now you're doing wonderfully well. You are you're a founder of Little Dreams and a co-founder of Reena and Ela, and this is a beautiful transition. So, how are you now as a person? Changed?
Yes, I am evolving every day. I am learning every day, and I am in a very, very happy space. I am in a very happy space. I have got a set of very great friends. I am meeting and making new friends, and absolutely, it's been a lovely journey so far. I have no regrets. No regrets.
I really admire resilience and your ability to turn the tide in your favor, Ela. This surely has been a very insightful and a thought-provoking conversation, and I thank our dear panelists for sharing their views and life experiences. The two questions which we asked in the beginning, that is mind shift possible for everyone? So yes, it is, if you're ready to accept, if you're willing to change. Second, how do we look mind shift, through the lens of creativity, or should we look at the lens of science? So yes, there are a lot of tools available. We can probably go to a coach. There are a lot of techniques, as Akansha said, as Pranjali said. But we also have to look within. We have to delve deeper. We have to find an anchor. And from the life experience, the discussion, I've come to this. Yes, Akansha, you have something.
So, we all have to look within. This is the prerequisite for mind shift. Before going to a coach, before going to a therapist, you have to look within. You have to.
Yes, you have to look within.
That.
Yes, because of acceptance. In fact, there's a question Amrinder is asking that she would also like to understand, why do we wait for a sudden life event for the mind shift? Can we identify a mind shift? Sorry, can we identify a mindset that will never make the need for mind shift? A wonderful question. And I would also like to know how to have a positive frame of mind for acceptance, etc. So, who would like to take that? Akansha?
All right. So, for me, when I talk about mindset and mind shift, so for that, this mind shift, you need to have a particular mindset to switch to that mind shift, and that mindset is loving yourself. If you are important for you, then only you can take that
Awesome.
plunge.
Yeah, so Akansha says love yourself. Or I'll come to all the panelists for this question. So it can be your quick takeaway also, just one liner maybe, so that we are running, so that we don't exceed the time. So now we come to Ela. Okay, Ela, tell me.
My
Can we
mantra for
identify?
life is my mantra for life is this too shall pass.
This too shall pass. Awesome,
Yes.
awesome. And
And we'll fight.
Rinku.
To be open to receive, be open to anything that comes your way. Just receive it as is. Do not reason it, do not question it, and ask for help.
Awesome. And Pranjali.
Keep reinventing yourself. The shift will happen automatically.
Keep reinventing yourself. Awesome, awesome. And I feel that the guiding force, or everything, whatever I heard, I feel that the guiding force, the anchor, was coming down to love. The ultimate truth of our life is love. That love can be through for ourselves, for our family, for our spouse. When we feel that we are valued, when we feel we are being taken care of, faith, belief in ourselves, faith in God, we get the power to take a step. We get the courage to take a step, and we are unstoppable. Then nobody can take us, or nobody can stop us from taking a step towards a mindset shift. So thank you very much. It's been a wonderful, wonderful discussion. We have another comment from Minakshi. She says that I also feel having an attitude of gratitude is a powerful thing. Absolutely, Minakshi, that comes to my that is actually our final episode, which we were to announce now. So our final episode in this pain series, having a positive attitude in the negative situation, is the topic is gratitude, and I invite all of you to please join us. We haven't yet decided the date, but we will be probably in 3 weeks. We would be having that session. It is the most powerful tool. I'm sure all our panelists would agree. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All those. फिर मैंने बोला कि आप if you